Yep, and now I am really excited to announce that this next discussion is going to be Will here with me, our own SDR team lead at Reply. Will has been working in sales development for over 6 years. He's built thousands of sequences and tested out hundreds of creative email templates and outreach strategies. And this is exactly what it's going to talk about right now, the data-backed insights into how to write better email sequences for SDRs. Okay.
Yeah,
Will,
thank
the floor
you.
is yours.
Thank you, Alex. All right, then let me share my screen then. And yep, you can see it, right? Can you see it, right? I guess so, yeah. So, okay, before we get started, I have a few more things to say here. For those who were afraid of my low ceiling, that's fine, no worries. I won't hurt myself. Actually, my mom does it every time when she visits my house, every single time. So yeah. And second, yeah, we will be talking about data back insights on how to write better cold email sequences, cold email templates. So first of all, we teamed up with our data scientist team here at Reply. Being a sales engagement platform, we can analyze hundreds of sequences, millions of emails, and actually aggregate all those data points and find out what works and what doesn't work. So for this report, we teamed up with our data scientist team. We analyzed, like I said, hundreds, thousands email templates, and today we'll be talking actually about very first email you send to your prospect. Today we'll cover three key metrics that actually are the most important ones. First of all, we will talk about open rate, how to improve it, what works, what not. We will talk about reply rate, so how to actually increase your reply rate. And the third one, it's interested reply rate. So we will analyze how many emails from all your replies are positive ones. So let's get started with subject lines. Of course, subject lines are super important because you can spend hours, you can spend days writing the perfect email, the perfect subject line, email template, but it won't work because if they never open your email, so it doesn't make sense, right? So subject lines are so super important here. We analyzed all subject lines, we analyzed subject line lengths, and we find out a few great things here. So first of all, subject line length actually doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We can say that 2+ words in your subject line is perfect option for everyone. We can see that average open rate and average reply rate are so low when you never use words in your subject line and when you use only one word. So 2+ words is the best option here. So the first key takeaway here, just probably never send empty emails, like emails with no subject line at all. You will get almost 40% less opens in comparison to an average result. Then we decided to analyze letters, so whether or not it matters, right? So we decided to look at case type, lowercase, uppercase, most lower, most upper, and compare to an average result. So as you can see, emails that contained all lower cases, like all lower letters, generate less open rate and less reply rate, like lower reply rate. So when we talk about case and letters, probably it's better to use most upper or most lower. It means that majority of your words start with a capital case letter. That way you can go above an average result. Then we decided to analyze even further whether or not we should use variables in our subject lines. For example, first name, company name, industry, their job title, or something else. Does it matter or not? So we analyzed all those subject lines. We analyzed subject line an average open rate, and then we analyzed an average open rate for subject lines that contained tier 1, 2, and 3 custom variables. So as you can see, it actually doesn't matter as well, but we can see some improvements when we use 3 custom variables in our subject lines. But as you can see, it's like 5% more in comparison to the subject lines, which didn't contain variables at all. So yeah, you probably shouldn't worry about using custom variables in your subject lines. Maybe that's why we can see a lower actually reply and open rate when it comes to using 1 or 2 variables. Maybe you use company name. They didn't use a normalized company name. They used with something like LTD in the end or incorporated. So it's not actually normalized text. So that's why they may think it's automated email or stuff like that. So when you use 3 variables in your subject lines, probably it means that you know what you do actually. Subject line content. So it's also another great topic to discuss. We analyzed some specific symbols like question mark, exclamation mark, dots, hyphen, things like that. Then we analyzed some specific phrases. Let's connect, let's get in touch. And actually, I really wanted to, I really pushed our data scientists to analyze subject lines with emojis, because personally, I love using emojis. You can like kind of use less words and explain more using just one small emoji, right? So as you can see, specific symbols do not actually increase your reply rates in comparison to an open and reply rates in comparison to an average result, while phrases actually helps you improve your reply rate, an average reply rate, right, in comparison to an average result. And emojis, that was super amazing. That was an amazing result. And as we can see here, we can get up to almost 7% more opens, right? Using probably the same subject line. Then we analyze trigger phrases. As I mentioned before, as you can see here, those phrases allows us to increase average reply rate, which is awesome, and slightly increase average open rate. So what phrases we analyze? Like words like follow-up, quick question, referral, open for a chat, let's talk, let's chat, favor, partnership, ask. All those phrases helps you increase your open rate and basically reply rate. Probably because you're more specific, or I don't know, for some reason it works, right? And yeah, as you can see, emojis really help increase open rate. It allows us to increase it by 20% in comparison to an average open rate. So probably we should give it a try. Now, when we actually build a perfect email subject line, now we should really deep dive into email templates. So tons of ideas here, tons of insights, tons of different styles, approaches, personalization. So what really, let's see what really works here. First of all, email template length is so important. Is so important, and as you can see, that average reply rate is actually relatively like a little bit higher with smaller emails, like 50, 70 words. And then your average interest rate actually slightly goes down when it comes to bigger email templates. But I guess it really doesn't matter that, right? Because it isn't so big difference. So probably we should stick to 70, 100 words, maybe even 150 words in our email templates, and that's going to work just okay for us. But the less, the better, I guess, right? And number of grades, number of paragraphs. That's another amazing result for me, because I always have been thinking that like short emails is the best way to get a response, right? To receive a response, or even the best way to like generate the highest possible interested rate, because that's how they can go through everything you wrote, right? But it turns out that your average reply rate won't be lower if you use four and more grades paragraph. But it is, of course, it is relatively higher when you use just 2 or 3 grades, like paragraph, whatever you call it. But average interested rate is pretty much the same. So it means that when you get in touch with relevant contexts, when you get in touch with relevant people, right industry, right personas, it doesn't really matter like how many grades you have in your email template, but average reply rate is relatively higher with 2 and 3 paragraphs in your email template. Now we analyze number of questions. It turns out that people actually use 1, 2, 3, and more questions in their email templates, right? I think that should bother leads prospects, because they have no idea what you want from them, right? You're asking too much just writing your cold email. So actually, reply rate goes down with number of questions, and more importantly, average interested rate also decreases here. So we recommend only 1 or like 0 questions in your cold email templates. Currently, we're talking about the very first cold email you send to a prospect. No follow-ups. We just discuss very first email template. Now let's talk about results, right? So when you use actually 3 questions, you will get 29% less replies, actually. So yeah. Now let's talk about email template content. Usually they ask us, I'm actually wonder about this myself, whether or not should I use pictures, should I use links, should I use GIFs? Now we have, I guess, pretty great data here to discuss. As you can see, when you use pictures and when you use links and when you use GIFs, it generates less replies, and your average interested rate will be pretty much the same. So when we talk about reply rates, then it really matters. So the less probably pictures, the less links, the less images you use in your very first cold outreach email, the better. But on the other hand, we can see that average interested rate is slightly higher when we compare our data with an average template. So probably you should use just links if you really want, and pictures. GIFs, probably we should avoid them in our very first email. So yeah, it's also important to remember that your picture should be like small in terms of its size, like a few kilobytes. The same with link. Make sure it works, it's not broken, and that's how probably the email templates that kind of have those links generate higher interested rate, because they can research your product on their own, and if it is something they're interested in, probably they will kind of get in touch with you. So that's how it works, I guess. Now it's my assumption. So we analyzed subject lines. We analyzed our email template content, right? Now let's talk about schedules. First of all, reply rate varies based on hour of when you send them, right? So as we can see here, the best time to send your emails, your emails is from 8 a.m. to like 11 a.m. So that's how you can generate the highest possible reply rate, right? So it's okay to send email probably early in the morning or later in the evening, and they do not respond to your emails at kind of 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and 4 p.m. Now let's talk about reply rate by date. It turns out it also matters. So probably it's a great idea to send your first email, cold outreach email on Monday, on Thursday, maybe Wednesday and Friday, but avoid Saturday for sure. And so basically, it's not that big difference. It's not that big difference, but if you really want to grab a few more positive responses, having pretty much the same amount of prospect in your sequence or cadence, then that's how you can improve your results. And here are a few examples. Just let me know if you need them. We will send you the link to this presentation in comments. Here are a few examples. I will go through them quickly. As you can see here, just 3, 4 grades, only one question, verbals, a few verbals in email template, a few verbals in our subject line, special symbols, stuff like that. Here's pretty much the same one, just one question, a few custom verbals, a few verbals for the subject line, and yeah. The same here, a link here, no images, no gifts. So yeah. Then, and another one, pretty much the same. As you can see, I really enjoy using just 3, 4 grades as maximum, and a few personalized variables, and only one question. So yeah, let's stay in touch. If you want to get in touch with me, just feel free to scan this QR code. We can get in touch with you on LinkedIn, via email, Twitter, whatever social media you prefer. So I'm really happy to answer any questions about the data and our insights. So yeah. And the last slide, my favorite one. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for your questions, probably.
Hey, thanks, William. Thanks for the presentation. There were a few comments asking for you to send over the presentation, so that would be also a good thing to do, along with the recording, of course. And yes, I did. There were quite a few questions. I picked out some of you, so we could go over them now. So when you were talking about the data, is it specific to any geography?
No, we analyzed them like across the globe. Yeah, actually, we should analyze reply rates based on country, continent, but we hadn't had actually time to do that properly.
Okay, so it is global, perfect, not some country specific.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you remember what's the sample size that you used for this?
Oh wow, that was a few thousand sequence, like few 100,000 sequences, like a few 100,000 sequences, not sent email templates, but I guess there are millions of cold emails analyzed. I can ask our data science about this data right here.
That sounds good. I think that sounds good. 100,000 sequences, man.
Sequences.
Man, that's a lot of sequences. Awesome. Yeah. The more the better, the more accurate the data in the end. You were also talking about subject lines. So if I remember correctly, so the unexpected finding was the emojis in the subject line?
Yeah, I didn't realize that emojis work in that way. After this conversation tomorrow, maybe next week, I will start definitely trying it out myself.
And what about, do you have any data regarding the exclamation marks in the subject line?
Not specifically exclamation mark, but we do we analyzed all of them, like question mark, exclamation mark, hyphen, and symbol. What else? Probably comma. Those triangles. Forgot their name. How they call it.
I don't know. We both are not native speakers, so help us out. Help us in the comments.
Like
guys.
use those triangles.
Okay. Perfect. Right. Then one of the metrics, also from what I remember, was the reading level. Can you also elaborate on that? What is the reading level?
Reading level. Number of grades, you mean?
Yes. So it was number of grades and reading level, and the question was about that.
Number of grades, sure. Let me share my screen again.
Because I think there was a question as to what you meant by grades. Somebody referred to as like grades is paragraphs.
Yeah, it's a paragraph actually. So when we go to this email template, for example, as you can see, there are 4 grades. Greeting, value proposition, like then second value proposition and call to action, 4 grades.
Okay.
4 paragraphs.
Okay.
So the best
and the
ones.
reading level, sorry.
Yeah, so the best ones, email templates contain only 2 or 4 grades. That's how you can generate fairly bigger average reply rate by almost, like, as you can see, almost 1.5x more.
Okay. And what about reading level? What do we mean by reading level when we do content copy?
I'm actually not sure what you mean by reading level.
I mean, even on what I'm thinking about is that even on reply, because we have AI on reply when you create your templates, right? And one of the metrics on it would be reading level. And on my demos, I often have people ask me, okay, what's the reading level? And I explain that that the words need to be of a certain more simple, I guess more understandable. Of course, they still have to be in line with what you deliver. Kind of judging from who is your persona that you're targeting, right? But then maybe avoid more complex words if there is a way.
I actually have no idea. Sorry about this. We didn't analyze reading level. I know that in reply we have that AI that scores reading level using whether analyzing content, tone, number of questions, positivity, and stuff like that. But I didn't prepare the data for this presentation actually. So, but I guess the more positive content is, the better.
Okay. Perfect. Sounds good. Let me see. We do have,
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
We do have a few more that I also wanted to make sure we go through. What about links? How many links is too many in an email that would affect deliverability?
That's another great question, and we have no data for number of links in subject line. Oh, sorry, in your email copy. Just let me check it here. Yeah, that should be over here. Yep. So we analyzed email templates just to check whether or not we have a link in those email templates, but we didn't calculate number of links actually. So I guess 1 link is enough, really enough to just, but great question.
When I get asked questions like that, I say we have a specific deliverability team that handles this, and they also do it case by case, because when there's too many links, I guess it's usually over 3 that what I hear that I use when I discuss deliverability with my prospects. And what I wanted to say is that the more links, the more probability it's going to go to promotional folders. So it doesn't mean necessarily spam, but promotional. So that's the thing that you're trying to avoid when you're doing this direct email outreach. And also, if we talk like links, GIFs, and pictures, could you recall, like, refresh once again, which one would hurt deliverability most? Do we have that data?
GIFs, yeah, GIFs. As you can see, all of them, links, pictures, and GIFs, influence your reply rate. As you can see, in comparison to an average one, they all generate less replies. As you can see, an average reply rate for the first cold email is like 3%, right? And for everything else, it's like 2 and.
Okay. Sounds good. Let me see. I also have the question about, did you get any data on how these statistics change depending on whether it's a first step email or a follow-up email? Was there a difference there? Sorry, Will, we can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Great question. Yeah, great question. We actually decided to analyze their first cold email because it is going to be more complicated to analyze even follow-ups. So that's why this time we decided just to stick with the first email. So I have no data on that right now, but believe it or not, we will have it soon. Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to emojis, is there a certain preference of like what's best to use? Do you have any data on that?
Nope. Not now. Yeah.
Not right now. Okay. Let me see what else. Yeah. Once again, we had a question regarding the presentation. Is it going to be sent over in an email, or do people need to reach out to you directly for it?
We will send it right now. I'll share the link in the chat section. So.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So I'll send it on the chat. So I see we already shared your LinkedIn here on chat so that people can reach out to you directly.
Yeah, feel free to ask more questions about the data. I will talk with our data scientists, and I will kind of share more context on data.
Perfect. I think I'm out of questions for now. So thank you for the presentation. I know the data always gets people really involved and like, okay, we want to use this because this is relevant, right? This is not just the best practice, but this is backed up by, like you yourself mentioned, 1,100 sequences. And I'm even afraid to start calculating the number of emails
It was crazy
they were sent out. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Will.